Hey everyone, I'm so excited to welcome you to the studio and to share this amazing conversation that I had with my good friend Kenyon Reed. When Kenyon and I started talking about what we wanted to discuss, one thing kept coming up, and that's how to stay inspired as musicians. I love asking different musicians the same kind of questions: how they practice, what keeps them inspired, and what's going on in their creative lives. During our conversation, something unexpected happened. I ended up having this crazy idea to learn a Mateus Asato guitar lick with Kenyon live. It came out of nowhere, but it turned into such a fun and insightful moment. I want to be clear that the goal of this video isn't to learn this lick note for note. The real point is to understand how we as musicians can hear something, whether that's on a CD, a song, a clip on social media, and then we take it, we break it down, we deconstruct it, and we make it our own. That's how you take a concept and turn it into something uniquely musical. By the end, it's going to sound totally different from the original lick, and that's the beauty of this process. As we were talking, Kenyon actually brought up a good point. He said, "Isaac, I know you're not focusing on playing this note for note. There might be some musicians who are curious about that side of it. So if that's you, stick around until the end of this video. I'll break down that guitar line in a little more detail for those of you who want to dive deeper into the technical side of things." Again, the focus here isn't perfecting the guitar line. It's about taking what we hear and making it our own and finding ways to incorporate it in our own playing. So I hope you enjoy, I hope you're inspired, and I want to see as you guys go and take other ideas that you hear on the internet and break it down to make it your own. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so with talking about Mateus, he did this crazy lick that I saw. I had the wild idea to learn the lick real quick, but then we're going to deconstruct it. And this is the important thing. I tell musicians, guitar players all the time, when you learn a song, when you learn a riff, the most important thing is not being able just to play it, but to understand what's happening and turn it into your own. I can't tell you how many guitar riffs or something I've learned, and when I don't try to turn it into my own, I'll forget it. But when I try to break it down, try to understand the theory, and make it my own, it might turn into something totally different, but you're able to get a lot more mileage out of whatever that original spark of inspiration was. So I'm gonna play the lick real quick. Okay. It's a good one, it's fun. All right. We're gonna learn it, deconstruct it, talk about what's happening, and then we're just gonna have some fun with it and see what happens. All right, so I gotta find the lick first. Yeah. All right, so here it is. This is Mateus Asato, and we'll put the link to the actual whole song. You guys can watch it. I'm not even for sure if I can put this in. It's just a lick. We'll see. Yeah. But anyways, we're gonna have some fun. So, you ready? Yeah. All right, and 3, 2, 1, here it is. He is one of my favorite guitar players.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane what he can do.
All right, here comes the lick. You ready to learn it?
I'm ready for you to learn it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so are you ready to go into a little bit of guitar nerd land?
Yeah.
I love to dissect if it's a lick, if it's a line, if it's a song. I thought this would be a fun example to show something that's a little out there, and obviously it's a really fun, loud lick. But even these, we could still break it down, learn what's going on, make it our own, and make it sound totally different than the start of it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk in a little bit of theory land, but we are going to make this sound fun and musical and probably make it sound nothing like the lick itself. So real quickly, what he's doing, we're in the key of E, and if you know the Cage system, if not, check out my series, but he is using the A form of E, and he's in this C sharp minor pentatonic. Now, when he plays it, it doesn't sound like that. He's actually using a pattern. The pattern he's using is this. He starts on this B note, and then the pattern he uses, he goes down to the next note, he goes up, and then down to the next note. So this is the pattern. And he's taking that same pattern through the pentatonic. So the next one would be, the next one would be, the next one would be. Really cool. It doesn't even sound like the pentatonic. Here's the pentatonic with no pattern. Here's the pentatonic with the pattern that Mateus is using. Really cool. You hear these intervals and it feels like it's moving.
It's different, yeah.
I love patterns. If we would play that coming back down, it would sound like this. I almost like it cooler coming up.
Yeah.
Right? If I was to take that pattern, if I'm practicing as a guitar player, anytime I get a pattern, I try to practice in all 5 positions. So the next position would be here. That's really cool. Cool. Now, as a really quick way to analyze it, what I would do is spend a little bit of time going, why does this sound different? What's unique about it? Well, if we're going to analyze it, the relationship that's interesting to me, there's a lot of them, are these notes. You play it slow, right, those notes. And these are essentially 4s. So we have the F sharp to the B, that's a 4th.
Yeah.
Then we have the B to an E, that's a 4th. Then we have the E to the G sharp, that's a 3rd, right? Then we have the G sharp to the C sharp, which goes back to the 4th. So the same pattern on that third string, we're moving intervals. That's one reason why it doesn't feel like it's the same. It feels like it's moving. A very similar thing is also happening in a couple different places. That's why I like patterns, because it switches things up.
Yeah.
So this is a very cool pattern. And if I'm going to come down here. So now, okay, cool. And that's the first part of the lick. We won't look at the second part.
Sure.
How do we make this musical? Well, to me, the first thing that sticks out to me when I was practicing that is when we're actually coming back down. This actually kind of sounds like maybe the start to something. If I was to play it in the E position.
Just as you were playing like that, go back to that again. Play that again. And then do the second part again. So yeah, the thing I'm hearing, because where my mind always goes is, I mean, it depends on the goal, you know?
Yes.
Like, is the goal here to, you know, try to alternatively play with the chord progression he's doing there? Are we trying to maybe write something of our own? Are we trying to just draw inspiration for a moment and be like, let me break this thing down, start playing some of these notes?
The great thing right now is it's to have fun. There is no goal.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy lick. I was like, I want to show this to Kenyon.
Yeah, sure.
Learn it and go, like, that's the fun part of music. There are no rules right now.
Right, and so that's where it's like, okay, well, I hear you start to do that, and it was like, even with that beat where if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you start playing that, like,
What would it be?
Yeah. And then do the second one.
Oh, like this string.
The second set of positions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what I hear is like. Change a little faster over that where actually instead. Right. So do your same pacing there, and I'll actually speed up the chord progression there. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nice.
So I want to bring attention to something that I find personal fascination with, which is whenever you're playing, so the 6 and then you go to the 1, it's fine, but do the second set of the second position there, and then do it again. So basically it's not just doing this very systematic, like E standard,
right?
Like major sort of. There's kind of like interesting, like there's the 6 in there, right. There's like some interesting elements. So there's a degree of tension that happens there. So when I hear these root notes playing underneath that set of melodies.
Well, the cool thing
notes.
is what we're really doing, and I'm getting ready to talk about this in a series, is when you play the A chord, you're superimposing this E pentatonic over the A.
Right.
So you're pulling out unique notes that you wouldn't normally be able to do.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes.
So all that to say, I mean, it's something that I'm always challenging myself to, is, I'm trying to think of even another example, give me like just a standard E chord. So I'm always trying to like look for that degree of edge where it's like, there's the 1, and instead going to the 7, and it just adds this really cool, just like subtle like thing to it.
Well, that's a 7 and a 9.
Okay, so glad that's Isaac's here to tell us what's going on.
If you like that, what you can do is you can actually superimpose the 5. So if we're in the key of E, a lot of people go, here's the E pentatonic. Well, I would actually, to get that sound, play a B pentatonic, play an E.
Cool, yeah, okay.
If you play a B pentatonic over an E, you're going to be able to pull out those 7s.
Cool.
And if we're taking this one to the next, so we're getting into a little crazy land. So if I take this, we were in the key of C sharp. Here's the Mateus pattern.
All right.
This is in the key of E. I can take that pattern, but now play it in the key of B. Or sorry, not the key. I can use a B pentatonic pattern.
Okay.
Play the Mateus pattern over an E. So I could play that. So play an E, and here is it coming down an E. Or I could play it coming down with the B pentatonic, same pattern. So we can take the same pattern and apply it over a different pentatonic. Technically in the key of E, you can superimpose the 4 or the 5 pentatonic over chords to pull out. So I could play actually the same pattern with an A pentatonic and a B pentatonic. If you don't understand that, check out my series. But anyways, back to this lick. So the first thing that I love what you heard. You're trying to go for melody.
Yep.
And so you heard that line, and then you heard the chord progression.
Yeah, I mean, that's where my mind goes. It's like, I want to know, like, where are we headed? Like, where's the ship going? Because then you can start to hear some of the fascinating, like, kind of some of the things you're describing, the technicalities. Then you can always, if ever it feels like there's too much, like you mentioned, you can strip back pieces.
Right.
And that's where, for me, it's like, how do you adequately strip back pieces and it feel interesting?
Even like you taking that one line now and maybe doing a cool tone thing on it.
Yeah. I mean,
like, what do you hear?
I mean, generally, I want to start with like getting the rhythmic pattern established. So it's like. Stretching my fingers, having a hard time here. And then basically from that, part of me is kind of like, what else is in there? Like. Kind of getting some like weird, interesting things dancing around it.
That sounds awesome.
So the only way that I could possibly think to try to like even double that particular line and tone is like a little looper or something. Let's see if I can actually adequately do that here. A little delay. Probably just maybe you just play the actual like da 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 da.
That's cool.
The B.
That's awesome. Okay. Yep.
And then it starts to kind
Do
of
it.
go,
3, 4. Yeah.
So it's like,
and then Mateus comes out and does the thing.
So it's like we would need to, get something aligned to a click, and then get the roots and everything in there. But
so
like,
much fun.
So part of that's like, okay, I can hear where like one of my notes is landing two on top of one of yours, so then I would minimize one of them and maybe pick a different line to just
show me real quick. What were you playing? I was concentrated on the line.
It was basically like a 2-3. And then like a 7 and a 1. And so just kind of like something that's like a little weird, a little dancey, a little edgy, and then it can kind of work. But ideally it would be something that, it's not clashing or hitting certain notes at the same time, unless there's the intention of doubling a certain note or something like that. But yeah, something ideally usually that would work around the notes that you're doing and not detract, but actually just create like harmonic intrigue or something like that, or even just like the rhythmic element.
Harmonic intrigue.
Yeah.
You're full of these just like incredible tonal statements.
Thank you.
That's another shirt name.
Yeah. We're creating a lot of shirt lines here. Yep.
I love it. I mean, the fact that we just took, and that was obviously again an extreme example. You could do this with so many things: a chord progression, a old orchestra thing. I remember one time I was at a Vegas show, and they had this amazing soundtrack, and I took my phone out and I just recorded it. And I went home and I took that and listened to what they were doing and made it my own. And so I do this with a lot of stuff. It's not just crazy guitar licks, but I just thought this would be a fun example of taking this. I mean, Mateus is one of my favorites, and taking this crazy lick, but then talking about it and then making it musical.
Yeah.
And now those are concepts where we can actually go and apply, and that's just, I mean, that just already makes the pentatonic more interesting.
Right.
And how we can take it, develop a line. I encourage you guys, get a friend. It could be another guitar player. It could be another instrumentalist. You don't necessarily have to do a guitar lick. It could be any piece that's interesting, that inspires you to go, oh, let's learn it. But you don't just learn it to play it exactly. I didn't even play the whole riff. I learned it enough to understand what's going on.
Right, yeah.
Then we started having fun with it, making it our own.
Yeah, you expand your library, like your mental library of like, even if you do, just get a part of it down, and it's like, okay, I know that's accessible now, and I can, pull it out, use that in different applications, or like in this case, we used it very minimally to actually just take one small fragment of it and turn it into a potential song.
Right.
That's what, and once again, where my mind goes is now that it's been deconstructed so far, I'm like, okay, well, where's this ultimately headed?
Right.
What's the root note? Are there other melodies that can send underneath to support this, idea here?
And the coolest thing about it wasn't even, to me, I mean, yeah, that was a kind of cool line, but the simple 2 notes at a time totally made it unique. This by itself was kind of cool, but the 2 notes that you played, that's the thing that actually made it totally stand out to feel very unique. So that was the thing that was most impressive.
Cool, yeah, wow.
You're just so impressive now.
Oh, thank you, gosh.
Okay, so we just took that lick, deconstructed it, and now you are here, the tone master, with so many fun things available at your feet. How could you take that line and how would you start adding fun elements over here?
Yeah, let's see. Let me see if I could even like adequately sort of loop it, like that root note kind of thing, just to kind of give it somewhere, like just give it some feet to walk, essentially. But I mean, if I were to even try to pick some sort of effects for it, let's see. Part of me wants to like
I mean, even playing it like that, just like slowing it like that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like just that alone, but
yeah. bad starting position almost. Soften the reverb there. And then let's go ahead and go to that looper here and see what we can do with that. So without getting too deep into like effects or something
cool.
like that,
Yeah.
you know, because that was just a simple like dotted eighth tape delay and a reverb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's other things that we could get into, like, I mean, I've got like this gnarly.
And I just want to say that is the perfect example of anything that's on the internet, how you can learn it, deconstruct it, and then get this idea, and then now just have fun with it and turn it into something musical. That no one would have guessed that came from this Mateus lick.
Sure.
But we actually took it, analyzed it, talked about it, had fun with it, and then turned it into our own thing.
Totally.
That was a perfect description of,
okay, cool.
Well, I would tell people, try to do it once a day. Try to at least do it once a week. And again, it doesn't have to be a crazy guitar lick.
No, and I think that's well said. Like, try to do that, like, you know, once in a week at least. You know, you don't have to exhaust yourself, maybe do it once a day. But, like, unless you're just inspired to do so. If you do it once in a week, though, so we had a worship room, and we did that once a week for 3 years. And basically, Tanner was playing bass, I was on guitar, we had a drummer, a keys player, and we picked a key and a BPM, and we just started playing.
Oh.
And we did that for an hour.
Right.
And it basically would turn into stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more you do that, it definitely stretches a muscle. It can help for being able to just pull things out on the fly. That's not always necessarily the goal. It doesn't have to be that. But the more familiar you become with your creative leanings,
Right.
Then the more you'll find yourself maybe on the fly if that's something that you are finding yourself in, like you're playing sets and you do spontaneous things, or if you're doing, you know, obviously jazz does that all the time. They're just riffing and doing spontaneous stuff. But in our world, we do that a lot. There's time and space for it, and that, you know, exercising that muscle leads to being able to pull this out much quicker.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it was perfect and that there was zero failure. You know, there was
Right.
like a couple spots where I was like, it doesn't feel great, you know, but then it landed somewhere, and it was
Right.
fun and interesting and all that. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, I really hope everyone loves this to give me an excuse to do that a lot more. 'Cause that was really fun. Well, man, thank you so much for spending some time letting us in your space and showing us a little bit of your board, which you're going to do a full rundown on it. And it's just always so inspiring to be around guys who are just have such this humble pursuit of excellence. That's anytime I'm up here, that's what I get. Everyone's just pursuing excellence. Everyone's humble. Everyone's encouraging everybody, and we just have fun. Everyone has different elements of flavors that they bring, different interests, different things that brings them passion, and it's fun when that comes together and people do life together and make beautiful music. So I'm inspired when I hear you play. I'm sure a lot of other people are inspired. I hope you guys have gotten some fun tips out of today. And yeah, any last words for anyone?
No, I mean, I think inspiration's the key word there. It's like that's why I do this, is just staying inspired, following fascination. So just protect that thing, you know. That's I think the purest form of why we do what we do is the fascination of it. So as much as you can keep that in front of you as to what that is for you, the better.
Good. I love it. Well, until next time. All right, guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and I hope that inspired you to take ideas that you guys are hearing and learn them, deconstruct them, and make them your own. Now, this is going to be for maybe a little more of the guitar nerds, or really any musical nerds. We're going to spend a little more time diving into the actual lick that was played. You know, I'm going to be honest, when I played that lick for Kenyon, it was about 2 or 3 times faster than I remembered hearing it just a little bit before that interview. And so what my ear actually heard was a little different than what he was playing. So we're going to look at the nuances between it. But again, that's the point. Even the fact that I heard something different, we still stumbled upon creative ways that we could even change the guitar pattern or even come up with ideas. So that's the whole point of this. But now we're going to spend a little more time looking at the actual lick note for note, because I think it has some cool concepts. All right, so we're in the key of E. If you know the cage system, we have our C form of E, A form, G form, E form, and D form. If you don't know about the cage system, don't worry. I have a whole series on Production Online, so go check that out. This lick, we're starting in this A formation cage. So here's our C sharp minor pentatonic. C sharp minor is the same thing as E major. We're just starting on that C sharp. And Mateus comes up with this really cool pattern. Now, I love patterns. Again, I have a whole series on pentatonics and patterns, so check it out. But essentially, instead of just playing it straight down like this, we're coming up with a pattern. And you really want to kind of see this pattern on string groups. So we're going to start with the low string, 6, 5, 4, and then 5, 4, 3, and then 4, 3, 2, and then 3, 2, 1. Now here's the pattern that he actually does. It's a little different than what my ear actually originally heard when I was playing it with Kenyon. And that's actually totally fine, because the cool thing of this isn't to play it note for note, but how to make it our own. And with patterns, I could probably come up with 4 or 5 different variations of the same pattern that Mateus did. So that's totally fine that it was a little different. That's the whole point. Changing it, making our own. Now we're going to spend a little more time actually hearing what he originally played. All right, so here's the pattern that Mateus actually played. So we're going to start on the 7th fret, B, and we're going to go B to C sharp, and then we're going to come down and play one note on that A string, which is E. So we're going to go, and then we're going to go down to the D string and play this B. So these 4 notes, that's our pattern. So instead of going like this, so we're just playing this pattern. Now we're going to apply the same pattern, but to these string groups, 5, 4, and 3. You see how that's the same pattern? So we have on the first set of string groups, and then now we're going to take the same pattern and apply it to the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. And then last one, so played slowly all together. Really cool. So the first thing that my ear actually heard, and again, give me some grace, it's really fast and this is happening live on camera, but I actually heard this. I thought it was B, E, F sharp, B, as opposed to this, okay? And both patterns are really cool. Again, I could probably make 3 or 4 different variations of this. So the actual pattern, and then the pattern that me and Kenyon were messing with. So again, they're pretty similar, but they actually do sound pretty different. So one idea you could do now is you can go back and forth between these 2 patterns. So the Mateus pattern, and then the pattern that Kenyon and I came up with. Again, very similar, but a little different. Now let's go back and forth. I'll start with the Mateus pattern, and then I'll do the other pattern. Now that in itself is actually a great just exercise. My brain was thinking pretty hard. And again, I like to do this in practice, ask myself hard questions, and I'm gonna stumble upon some unique ways to playing things. I might keep some of them, put them in my tool bag to, when I'm playing live, or some options, it's just a fun idea that I have in the moment, and maybe I don't play it. That's totally okay. So real quickly, let's look at some of the theory that's going on behind this pattern. Now there's a couple different ways to analyze it, but the thing that I think sounds unique and makes this pattern stand out is the relationship between the third and the fourth note. So we start out with the hammer on, but then this interval, that's unique, and that changes every string group. So for example, so right here, we have a fifth, root, second, third, fourth, fifth. Then if we do the same thing in the next string group, the pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the same pattern, but now these two notes are a sixth away, or these two notes are a fifth. Now the next string group, we go back to a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the final string group, we're back to our fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, as we're moving through this pentatonic with a different pattern, we're kind of highlighting different variations and different intervals within this pentatonic box. And to me, that's kind of what makes it stand out. I personally think that's a really cool pattern that I'm definitely going to try to remember and have fun with that when the time allows. So just for fun, I'll quickly show you the second part of that lick. We're going to slide up to our G position, and it looks like this. And of course, we get the crazy big Mateus huge bend, which I love. But real quickly, this is actually pretty simple. We're just coming down that pentatonic, but we're starting on that D sharp, major 7, if we're comparing it to E. We're coming down, we're playing our blues note, just like that. We're gonna replay that B, C sharp, and now we're gonna slide up and just play this E triad. That's all it is. We're gonna hit that C sharp and do a huge bend, and we're gonna try to hit this F sharp. So we're gonna go from D sharp to F sharp. I love those big bends. A lot of fun, a lot of character. So that second part of the lick, a little slow, would look like this. So now the whole lick put together. All right, that's so much fun. Now again, the point of this is not really to learn it note for note, but Kenyon mentioned, just go ahead and do it for fun. So there you go. If you guys want us to break down more, if it's a guitar line or something that you hear that's unique on an album or whatever it is, let me know. I would love to explore this conversation and this way of learning and deconstructing more. I think it's a lot of fun. And really, it's just how we learn. We're always, as musicians, we're borrowing from each other. That's how the great jazz players played. They borrowed jazz lines and then they learned it and made it their own. So that's just how music works. We're always learning and borrowing, but reshaping it to make it our own. I hope this conversation has inspired you to go listen to things that sound interesting to you. Take it, listen to it, deconstruct it, make it totally different, and make it your own. I think this is key to infuse in our practice to make something that's musically unique and creative. I can't wait to see and hear the lines that you guys take and learn and make it your own. Make sure to tag me. I really want to see it.